تَتَّقُونَ, O you who believe, fear Allah, the fear that He deserves, and die not except in a state of Islam, which is absolute submission to Allah Azza wa Jal regarding all His rulings, and not just some of them. My dear brothers in Islam, subhanallah, a Sahabi named Al-Qaqa' Al-Awsi was once asked, he was asked to tell them or describe them to them Jannah in a way that would make them long for it. نشتاق إليها. Describe to us Jannah in a way that will make us long for it, want to work for it, strive for it, sacrifice for it. He replied with one statement. He said, فيها رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. In it is Rasulullah صلى الله عليه وسلم. That was enough. That was enough. Doesn't matter what rivers, what women, what trees, what plants, nothing. In it is Rasulullah صلى الله عليه وسلم. That was enough for them to make them long and work towards making it to Jannah. And subhanAllah, if you look at some of the ahadith of Rasulullah صلى الله عليه وسلم, you realize why and how they loved him so much. And I can remember the story of a companion of Rasulullah صلى الله عليه وسلم, where one day he said, I slept at the house of Rasulullah صلى الله عليه وسلم, and I brought him some water for his wudu and some of his necessities. Khidmah, he served him. And subhanAllah, we all know Rasulullah صلى الله عليه وسلم was of the highest of character, manners, morals. This man did something for him. He performed a khidmah for him. So he could not let it go unnoticed. And we all know, man lam yashkur an-nas lam yashkur Allah. Whoever does not thank the people does not thank Allah. So the Prophet ﷺ turns to him and tells him, ask me. Ask of me so I can give you. So the companion replied to Rasulullah ﷺ, he said, Ya Rasulullah, I ask to be your companion in Jannah. I ask to be your companion in Jannah. What does that mean? He doesn't want Jannah. He doesn't want to just see Rasulullah in Jannah. He wants the highest levels. I want to be your companion, the person you come in and out with in Jannah. Look at the love they had for Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But then the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he says something which me and you, I'm not saying this is what it means, but me and you can look at his test. He goes, anything else? The companion passes that test by saying, no ya Rasulullah, only that. No ya Rasulullah, only that. See, we all claim we love Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We all claim we want the highest levels of Jannah, but we don't do anything to get there. We don't do anything to show our love for Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This companion, he proved that right there on the spot. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam telling him, ask, I'm going to give you whatever you want. And he said, all I want is to be your companion in Jannah. Then he tested him. Anything else? He goes, no, nothing else. He passed. But look what the Prophet ﷺ said, and this shows me and you how to get to Jannah and how to be the companion of Rasulullah. He said, then help me help you by performing as many sujood as you can. Allahu Akbar. As-sujood, the greatest of worships, the closest position you can ever be to Allah, the absolute form of submission. Can you be in a more submissive state than in sujood? Help me help you to be my companion in Jannah by performing as many sujood as you can. See, from this hadith and others, the scholars have derived that your position in Jannah compared to Rasulullah depends on your sujood. The more sujood you make, the closer you'll be to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The less sujood you make, the further away or the less you'll see Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Not everyone gets to spend all of eternity with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. People sometimes just see him, they visit him, they get to talk to him every now and again. Others will be there with him every day. And the scholars derived that the sujood is the key. Sujood is the key to see how close you will be and how much time you'll spend with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allah Azza wa Jal give us an eternity with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Ameen. SubhanAllah, this sajda, this sujood is so powerful that I remember one day a tabi'i, you know who a tabi'i is? The greatest three generations, the Prophet ﷺ said, the greatest three generations, the first is the Prophet and his companions. The second is the ones who came after them, and then the ones who came after them. Those are the three best generations. So this was a man from the second best generation who ever lived. He was a tabi'i. He saw a man praying for so long, coming up and down in sujood so many times that he was shocked. He came up to him and he said, do you even know how many rak'at you prayed? Was it odd or even? Yani all I saw you was going up and down, not quickly, but just constant. So the man looked at him and he said, if I don't know, Allah knows. If I haven't counted them, Allah's counted them. He goes, verily, my beloved has told me, and he broke down. He couldn't even finish his sentence. Then he repeated again, verily, my beloved has told me, and he broke down again, a second time. And then he composed himself a third time and he said, verily, my beloved has told me that never could a person do sujood except Allah elevates him a level and wipes away a sin. Elevates him a level and wipes away a sin. So this man looked at him, he was shocked by this answer. Who's your beloved? Like, he didn't expect him to be a companion of Rasulullah. He goes, verily, I am the companion of Rasulullah, Abu Dhar. This was Abu Dhar, the worshipper, the abid, the zahid, that was saying this. When this man realized this was Abu Dhar, he goes, who am I to be questioning a man who spent years upon years with Rasulullah? He goes, from that day onwards, I understood the importance of the sujood. I understood the value of the sujood. My dear brothers, in Islam, everything, every living creature, every creation of Allah makes sujood to Allah Azza wa Jal. Everything makes sujood to Allah Azza wa Jal. See, one day the Prophet ﷺ was sitting with a companion and the sun set. He looked at the companion and he said, you know where the sun went? So the companion said, Allah and His Prophet knows best. He goes, by Allah, it set so it can go make sajda to Allah Azza wa Jal. In the Quran, what does Allah Azza wa Jal say? He says, أَلَمْ تَرَ أَنَّ اللَّهَ يَسْجُدُ لَهُ مَنْ فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَمَنْ فِي الْأَرْضِ. Do you not see that to Allah prostrates whoever is in the heavens and whoever is on the earth? Then he continues to say, وَالشَّمْسِ وَالْقَمَرِ وَالنُّجُومِ وَالْجِبَالِ وَالشَّجَرِ وَالدَّوَابِ. The sun, the moon, the stars, the mountains, the trees, and the moving creatures. But listen to this last part, this is the dangerous part. And he says, وَكَثِيرٌ مِنَ النَّاسِ. Allahu Akbar. May Allah forgive us and protect us. He said, and many of the people. He didn't say all. The only creature with the audacity to refuse to make sujood to Allah is mankind and jinn. May Allah protect us. Can you imagine that? The sun, the moon, the trees, the animals, a rock on the floor makes sujood to Allah, and me and you, there's many Adam today that refuse to make sajda to Allah Azza wa Jal. Allah is mentioning in the Quran, He didn't say and all of the people. He said all these creations, all these creatures, and many of the people, not all. May Allah make us of those many. Ameen. And then He continues to say, وَكَثِيرٌ حَقَّ عَلَيْهِمُ الْعَذَابِ عَلَيْهِ الْعَذَابِ. And many, but upon many, the punishment has been justified. Allahu Akbar. The rest, those ones who don't make sujood, Allah Azza wa Jalla is guaranteeing that it's already justified their punishment. SubhanAllah. The only creature, the only creation that would actually dare to refuse to bow down to the Lord of the heavens and the earth, the one who's maintaining them right there and then while they are disobeying, is mankind and jinn. May Allah Azza wa Jal make us of the obedient slaves. Ameen. My dear brothers in Islam, Allah Azza wa Jal says in the Quran, Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu, irka'u, wasjudu, wa'budu rabbakum, waf'alu al-khayra la'allakum tuflihun. O you who believe, an order from Allah Azza wa Jal, if we believe. This is an order to me and you if we believe in Allah Azza wa Jal. O you who have believed, bow and prostrate and worship your Lord and do good, that you may be successful, that you may succeed. SubhanAllah, we mentioned last week that if Allah Azza wa Jal wanted to have mercy, the week before, if Allah Azza wa Jal wanted to have mercy on people who were in hellfire, He would tell the angels to go and remove them from hellfire. How would the angels recognize them? What does Allah Azza wa Jal say in the Quran? سِيمَاهُمْ فِي وُجُوهِهِمْ مِنْ أَثَرِ السُّجُودِ. Allahu Akbar. How would the angels recognize the people in hell who Allah wants to take out and have mercy on them? The signs will be in their heads, in their foreheads, because of the sujood they used to make to Allah Azza wa Jal. Just because they made sujood to Allah, Allah Azza wa Jal will have mercy on them and will take them out of hellfire. These are the last people to ever exit hellfire. The last people. They're in hellfire burning for I don't know how many thousands of years, yet the place of sujood is still recognizable. It never burns in hellfire. And we know on the Day of Judgment, the Ummah of Muhammad ﷺ will be recognized by their sujood and by their brightened body parts, limbs that have constantly been made wudu over. Because to do sujood you have to make sujood. To do sujood you have to make wudu. Because usually it's in the prayer. SubhanAllah. Even the Prophet ﷺ himself, when times used to get tough, when he used to feel his heart was going to explode, Allah Azza wa Jal, He actually, can you imagine Allah Azza wa Jal acknowledging someone's pain? I go through a lot of rubbish throughout my life. Everyone does here. Allah Azza wa Jal, the Prophet ﷺ had so much heartache, so much pain in his heart from what they used to do to him. And he was the most shy of people. He was the most honorable of people, so it hurts even more. Allah Azza wa Jal from above 7 heavens acknowledges his pain. He says to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, وَلَقَدْ نَعْلَمُ أَنَّكَ يُضِيقُ صَدْرُكَ بِمَا يَقُولُونَ. And we already know that your breast is constrained by what they say. Allah is acknowledging how much pain he's going through in his heart from what they're saying about him, what they're doing to him. What does Allah Azza wa Jal order him to do? How does He console him? He says, فَسَبِّحْ بِحَمْدِ رَبِّكَ وَكُنْ مِنَ السَّاجِدِينَ. So exalt Allah with praise of your Lord and be of those who prostrate to Him. As-sujood. As-sujood will save you in the dunya and will save you in the akhirah. When Allah Azza wa Jal descends in a manner that suits His majesty and glory, and all of creation will be forced into sujood. Some people, they'll try to bend into sujood. They can see, if I don't bend into sujood right now, the angels of hellfire are going to know which ones to grab and throw into hell. So they're trying to force themselves into sujood. But Allah Azza wa Jal says on that day, يَوْمَ يُكْشَفُ عَنْ سَاقٍ وَيُدْعَوْنَ إِلَى السُّجُودِ فَلَا يَسْتَطِيعُونَ. On that day they will not be able to. Now when they were called into sujood, they will not be able to. Why? خَاشِعَةً أَبْصَارُهُمْ تَرْهَقُهُمْ ذِلَّةً. What will happen to them? Their eyes will be humbled. Humiliation will cover them. وَقَدْ كَانُوا يُدْعَوْنَ إِلَى السُّجُودِ وَهُمْ سَالِمُونَ. This is because they used to be invited into prostration while they were sound, while they had no problems, and they refused. SubhanAllah. May Allah Azza wa Jal make us of the sajidin. My dear brothers in Islam, this is the greatest of all worships. This gives you the highest levels of Jannah. This gets you the closest to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This saves you from hellfire, saves you from the Day of Judgment. Even in the dunya, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was making sujood in front of the Kaaba. Abu Jahl turns to his friends. He says, are you actually letting Muhammad put his head in the dirt in front of you? He goes, I swear that if I see him putting his head in sujood in sajda in front of the Kaaba, I'm going to step on his head. I'm going to step on his neck with my feet. What the narration state? He tried to come close to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and there's a few narrations. One of them he turned around running, flailing with his head like that, as if he's ducking from something. When they asked him, why did you do that? He said, I saw wings and talons, nails and so on about to grab me. The angel Jibreel told the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, Ya Muhammad, if he got any closer, the angels would have torn him apart piece by piece, limb by limb. As-sujood, my dear brothers in Islam. If you want protection in dunya and akhirah, as-sujood. And sujood comes where? In the salah. And what did the Prophet ﷺ tell us? Allah Azza wa Jal in al-Hadith al-Qudsi, He says, my servant will continue to come closer to me in extra prayers, that is extra sujood, in extra prayers, until I become the eyes in which he sees with, the ears with which he hears with, the mouth with which he speaks with, the hands with which he touches, and the feet with which he walks with. Allah Azza wa Jal will take care of all of your affairs. That's it. It's over. You're walking in the protection, in the guidance of Allah Azza wa Jal. You're eating, drinking, touching, seeing, moving, everything with Allah Azza wa Jal's protection. I ask Allah Azza wa Jal to make us of those who do many sujood in our lives. آمين. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم فيا فوز المستغفرين. بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. A man narrates that once he saw one of the great scholars, Sufyan al-Thawri, rahimahullah. Sufyan al-Thawri was one of the greatest scholars of this ummah. His works are still around till today, or some of his works. He states that one day we were in the haram of Mecca, Baytullah, and he prayed the Maghrib. And after the Maghrib, he got up to pray the Sunnah. This man states he got up to pray the Sunnah and he went into sujood. And he took long. So I decided to go pray myself. He went and prayed the Sunnah and he done tawaf. He came back and he found him in sujood. He went and prayed another Sunnah and done tawaf. He came back, he found him in sujood. He went and prayed another 2 rak'at and he made tawaf and he came back and he found him again in sujood. And he did not lift his head out of sujood until the adhan for Isha was called. These are who we're supposed to look up to. These are who we're supposed to follow and imitate. These are who we're competing with for the highest levels of Jannah. SubhanAllah, I know this story is a bit far-fetched, but the narration states that a man came to a scholar or to a abid and he told him, if someone forgot to do 2 or 3 the tasbih in the sujood, what's the hukum? What do you do? Do you do 2 sajdat sahu? What do you do if someone misses some tasbih in his? So the man looked at him and he goes, is this answer for you or for us? He goes, what do you mean for you and for us? What's this for you and for us? He said, for me. He goes, for you, you do 2 sujood for sahu, for forgetfulness. So the man was curious. He goes, and what about for you? He goes, for us, we chop off his head. What do you mean chop off his head? What's this? He goes, you're in sujood. You're in the closest position to Allah Azza wa Jal. How dare you think of anyone else other than Him? How dare you be in sujood, in the closest position to Allah, and think of other than Him? Don't go chop anyone's head off, please. Nor am I saying don't do sujood anymore because we're going to chop off your head no. SubhanAllah, because of this, because of our sujood, because of how much we lack in our sujood today, one of the scholars said, if one of our sajda were to be spread out amongst all of mankind will be wiped out. That's how much deficiency we have in our sajda. That's how much deficiency and lack of khushu' we have in our sajda. We're in the closest position to Allah. And what do we think about? How much money we made? Our next job? What our wives cooked at home? How I want to smash this bloke when I leave the mosque because he's whispering out loud in the salah? Or even haram. Let's be honest. The shaitan gets us when we're in the closest position to Allah to think of haram. You know how when you're in front of a king or in front of someone that's important, how you don't dare to do something in front of him because he might see you, he might do something to you? Allah knows what you're thinking. We're in the closest position to Him and we're thinking of haram. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. This isn't to put anyone down. This is to make us understand the importance of sujood and to protect our sujood, to make more khushu' in our sujood. The people of the past, they understood this. One of the ladies of the past, she was crying over the grave of her son. The Prophet of that time walked up to her and he told her, "Why are you crying? What happened?" She goes, "My son has died." "How old was he?" She said he was 300 or 400 years old. In the days they used to live a long time. So the Prophet, to console her, he said, "Say Alhamdulillah that he lived 300-400 years. What about if I told you of a time when the people, their entire lifespan will be 60 or 70 years? The lady was so shocked. She said, "Is this true?" He said, "Yes." He said, "By Allah, if I lived in that time, I would put my head in sujood and I would not take it up until I face Allah." They understood the importance of the sujood. They understood the importance of sujood, the closeness you are to Allah Azza wa Jal, the amount of khushu' and fear and hope and dua we have to have in our sujood. Where else are you going to ask Allah? When else are you going to ask Allah? When else are you going to find comfort in Allah? If it's not in sujood, if the closest position to Allah, we're not finding comfort in Allah, where are we going to find it? May Allah Azza wa Jal give us khushu' in our sujood. May Allah Azza wa Jal give us khushu' in our prayer. May Allah Azza wa Jal allow us to understand the value. Brothers, please, from your heart, say Ameen. May Allah Azza wa Jal allow us to understand that this is our only salvation, the sujood. And may Allah Azza wa Jal make us of those who constantly beg and ask Him in our sujood, to find comfort with Him in our sujood, and to never ever have another sajda again where we think of other than Him. Ameen. Ask Allah Azza wa Jal in our sujood. Ask Allah Azza wa Jal in your sujood. Beg Him. We all have needs. We all have wants. We all have people that have been harmed that we want Allah to cure. We have people that are misguided that we want Allah to guide. Don't we fear for our kids? Don't we fear for our future? This is where we ask Allah Azza wa Jal in our sujood. Allah Azza wa Jal, the Lord of the heavens and the earth, is embarrassed. He's embarrassed when you ask Him to let you leave with nothing. He's embarrassed. Allah Azza wa Jal, the one who needs nothing from us. We are nothing to Him. He is embarrassed if we ask Him and He does not give us something. If we raise our hands and we ask Him to allow us to remove our hands or put down our hands without putting something in there. So ask Allah Azza wa Jal. I remember one of the scholars stating that if someone knocked on the door again and again and again and again and again and again, I can already see you're getting angry. Someone's going to get up and slap me. If you knocked on Allah Azza wa Jal's door again and again, asking Him again and again, wouldn't He eventually answer? Ask Allah Azza wa Jal. In our prayers, there's 34 sajda, just in the fard prayer a day. Ask. Never raise your head from a sujood except you ask Allah for something. And inshallah, Allah Azza wa Jal will accept.
I wanna be in Jannah, 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 Jannah. Every Muslim dreams to be up in Jannah, 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 Jannah. A pious person's destiny. Inshallah in Jannah, Jannah, Jannah.